Welcome to this week's episode of Raising Healthy Mothers. Today I thought I would talk to you about what to do when you have absolutely no appetite whatsoever. So this question actually came up because a friend of mine messaged me a few weeks ago saying, I have shingles, I'm absolutely exhausted, I'm in a lot of pain, I have no appetite whatsoever, but I know I need to eat well. And I love that she reached out to me because this is exactly what I love doing, but also because, it showed that she knew that it was important to eat for her, obviously for her healing, but just generally for her sense of well-being. Because quite often when we're unwell or if we just don't have any appetite, it's quite easy just to forget about it and just not eat anything. But actually it is super duper important. And as mums, this happens to us quite often, like where we feel too tired or maybe we're unwell to eat properly, but we really need to keep our energy and health up, especially if our children really, really need us. I mean, just because you're ill as a parent doesn't mean you get a day off, right? And also it's very similar to the period immediately after postpartum. You might have quite a lot of appetite, especially if you're breastfeeding. You might actually be quite hungry, but quite often the opportunity to eat is quite tricky when you have your hands full of a baby. Like, it's amazing, isn't it, how much space a tiny little baby takes up in your arms, because they have so many other needs. It's so easy to forget to eat. So a lot of the information here actually is very similar to the information that I have given in previous episodes about that period immediately postpartum. So in 11.12, I talked about what to eat to recover from a C-section, and in episode 3.1, which feels a very long time ago, is all about what to eat in the first 3 weeks postpartum to recover from childbirth. So if those are interesting to you, if you want to follow those up, then go for those as well. But a lot of the information is actually quite similar in terms of, eating for healing, for recovery, but also when you just don't have the time and energy to actually prepare a lot of food. So when you're not feeling hungry, when you've been unwell, eating can feel like a chore. But of course, getting the right nutrition in, making sure you're supporting your body to actually heal is really important, especially when your body is under stress, healing, or, just really worn out. However, I will caveat here, though, that depending on your situation, it might be that if you have an acute sickness, your body might be saying, I don't want to eat anything, I have no appetite. So if your loss of appetite is temporary, so for example, over the weekend, I had a vomiting bug and I genuinely just didn't want to eat anything, not because it was all coming up again, but just because I just didn't feel like it. I had no appetite whatsoever. I knew that wasn't going to last for very long. It was only a day or two really where I didn't really fancy eating anything, and that's fine. Obviously, it's important to keep your hydration up, not just with plain water, but with electrolytes as well. But from a food point of view, if it's only for a day or two, you're probably fine. But if you know that your loss of appetite is more chronic, if it's going to go on for a long time, as I said in the case of my friend, it was painful shingles, then doing your best to eat what you can is important, because you want to avoid losing muscle mass, you want to avoid nutrient depletion, and of course, if you're not eating to support recovery, then you are going to have a longer recovery time. Remember, healing and recovery from illness depends on really key nutrients. When we're recovering from illness or we're running on empty, the body needs the right fuel to repair and recharge again. So eating nutritious food is absolutely essential for your immune system to work effectively, for your energy to stay steady, and for your mood to remain balanced. And obviously these kind of nutrient-dense foods that I'm going to talk about in a minute are really going to help combat that fatigue and reduce inflammation as well, all of which are super important when you're in recovery. And also, if you are dealing with a chronic issue, whether it's pain or illness or long-term exhaustion, then you can also easily start feeling mentally drained and quite low as well. And that can also precipitate low appetite. Pain and fatigue can leave you feeling really isolated, hopeless, even disconnected from your usual self, and this can quickly snowball, making everything feel harder, obviously including eating as well. And it's a vicious cycle, because you're not eating enough, your energy dips even more, that impacts your mood, and you just get stuck in this cycle. So I know it's really hard when you are really unwell and you're feeling really low to also have to think about feeding yourself. But honestly, nutrition can be a game changer here, because food alone isn't going to fix everything, but it can play a really crucial role in helping to stabilize your mood and helping to cope with that stress and that low mood and that feeling of just being really low. So for example, omega-3 fatty acids, that's found in fish especially, but also in some seeds and nuts, are really well known for their mood boosting properties, helping to reduce inflammation in the body, and that can contribute to lower mood and even pain as well if it's left unchecked. Plus, B vitamins, especially B6 and B12, are really important for brain health and neurotransmitter function. If you listen to an episode a while back about brain health, you'll know about this. And these are often found in foods like eggs and fish, leafy greens and whole grains as well. And then magnesium is another really key nutrient when it comes to managing stress and supporting your mood, because it helps your body relax and support sleep, which is crucial when you're under stress. Making sure that you're getting that magnesium-rich food in can really help as well. And then there's iron and protein, which is really important for energy and stability, because if you're not eating enough, your iron and protein levels can really dip down, leaving you feeling even more exhausted and even more kind of mentally low as well. So making sure you're getting that protein and that iron-rich food is really key. And then from the healing point of view, the nutrients that really matter here are the zinc and the vitamin C, as well as the ones I've already talked about, like iron and protein as well, because these are literally the building blocks. They're literally what your cells need to regenerate, to build up again, and of course for your immune system to work properly, because if you're fighting off a virus particularly, your immune system needs to be working really, really well. So in practical terms, this means eating meals and snacks that focus on these particular nutrients that are nutrient dense, and that's what I'm going to cover in the next section. Look, I know it's going to feel like a bit of a mountain to climb to get food in your system, and so that's why the focus here is really on what to do when you just don't have very much appetite, and how to make sure that what you are eating is giving you the best bang for your buck. So having really small meals, for example, having mini meals, having lots of snacks that are actually nutritious rather than just full of sugar, and just supporting you in a way that is going to kind of get you through this period, which hopefully won't take a long time. So first of all, quick and easy meals. So frozen veg and ready-made sauces are your friend here. So for example, if you have a bag of mixed roast vegetables which come frozen and a pot of ready-made pesto, you can easily make a tray bake, super easy. Add a portion of fish, so salmon has got that omega-3, which is important for your brain health, and can be baked on top of your frozen veg as well. So it's a full meal. You don't have to do very much. You can literally just chuck it in the oven. And then there's mix and match pantry staples that can really help, again, with throwing meals together when you don't have much energy, when you don't have much capacity even to actually put something together. So things like obviously tinned beans and chickpeas are great, but also pre-cooked packages of grains, so things like quinoa and rice are really helpful to have, that are already cooked. You just have to microwave them up. Add some vegetables, like I said, the frozen veg are great here, or even just some chopped salad, and some tinned fish as well would be really good for kind of getting that protein in. They're pantry staples, they're all kind of always there if your fridge ends up being a bit bare. There's staples that you can have in your pantry that don't take much work, but really are very, very nutritious, very nutrient dense. If you can add a bit of olive oil and some lemon juice and some herbs even, then you've got a brilliant lunch or dinner, or whenever you want to eat it really, with very little prep. And again, you can prep this kind of thing in a relatively large quantity, or if you can get some help to do that, make a big box of it, and then you can just scoop it up every time you need a meal. And remember, eating little and often rather than trying to have 3 big meals as you're used to. You just need to keep your eating up without actually overwhelming you if you're actually not particularly hungry. So another thing that is probably going to be on your mind if you really do have this low appetite is, what snacks can I have that I can just grab without worrying about whether they're any good for me? Well, as always, I say read the ingredients and make sure that they largely focus on whole food. So and also make sure they're focusing on protein. So nuts are really great for things like that. If you like nuts, having a good stash of roasted nuts can just really help with that protein and that fat as well. So they kind of give you a bit of energy without kind of having to eat lots and lots of them. Greek yogurt is another one that is a really easy sort of snack to have if you have it with some berries, a little bit of honey. And also there are some really great pre-packaged salads at the moment in the shops, especially because it's barbecue season, so it's quite a lot of pre-made salads, and they're perfectly fine to have in stock in this kind of period of when you're not feeling so well. So just getting a whole stash of those, or getting a few that you really like, and just making sure that you can just eat a little bit at a time. Little mini snacks like olives and feta and seed crackers are another really good combination. They're small but really nourishing snacks, don't need any prep, and can be eaten kind of just grabbed out of the fridge and just go for it. If you really have no energy, if you really have no appetite as well, is sipped meals. So soups and broths are really great here. They're easy to drink, they're very, very nourishing, and of course they're rehydrating, which is super important. If you really have no energy at all, sipping a soup from a cup, it feels more like a drink than an actual meal. just kind of mentally might feel a little bit more possible. So obviously smooth soups, if you're drinking it from a cup, might be a little bit better, or even packets of bone broth or a miso if you're vegetarian, if you just don't want to, you just really can't face a meal type soup. Both of those are really comforting. They're packed with nutrients, they're easy on the stomach, and they give you that hit of minerals that are really important to support your immune system when you're recovering as well. Smoothies are another great thing if you can. What I quite like suggesting to do is preparing a few smoothie packs, so kind of packing some bags full of fruit, a little bit of veg as well in there, and keeping them in the freezer. And then all you have to do is put them in your blender, whiz them up with some coconut water or some milk, which obviously adds a little bit of nutrients in there if you use the milk, and some protein powder as well, ideally, so you get that protein in there. It means you don't have to chew it very much. Gets a lot of nutrition in there. If you add quite a lot of fruit, then it's going to be quite tasty because it's sweet, give you that little bit of energy as well, especially when you just don't feel like eating or having a whole meal. And you can make up a big smoothie and just sip on it across the day as well. A lot of the suggestions that I'm making here might not be necessarily what I would generally suggest, but when you're in that kind of crisis mode, when you are unwell, when you need something quick, when you just have no appetite, sometimes you've got to do what works for you. And if that is having something like ice cream when you've had absolutely nothing else to eat for the whole day, that's okay, because a good quality ice cream is going to give you a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, but also the calories that you need. Again, sometimes when you're really unwell, when you don't have any appetite, this can really help you. Again, look at the ingredients. Most ice creams on the high street are not real ice cream whatsoever. Sometimes they don't even have cream in there. So, they might not even be called ice cream. It's all very deceptive, actually, packaging. But there are certain brands out there that are better than others. So, read the ingredients and make an informed choice. Because obviously, ideally, you want to go for whole foods, real food, rather than ultra-processed food, of course. As I said, getting calories in can be really important if you've just not eaten at all day, and some ice cream can be a bit of a good option to help. And just remember, the key thing here is to have really small meals to keep you going. Think of it as mini meals or little snacks, nutritious snacks, rather than having to sit down for 3 big meals as well. Something like a frittata or tortilla is quite good to have just stashed in your fridge. Or even a pate, so whether it's liver pate or a fish pate, eaten with oat cakes or mixed up with quinoa, or if you've had a chance to make some baked potatoes like jacket sweet potatoes, they're quite good on top of that as well. Something that you can have that is a small meal that you can have, or a small snack that is mainly savoury, is going to give you that energy to keep going. If you need something a little bit lighter, Greek yogurt with seeds and berries, or even kefir, high protein kefir with pumpkin seeds is going to give you that boost of protein and nutrients with minimal effort. Look, in this period when you are feeling really low, when you don't have any appetite, it's okay to keep things really simple and to go for convenience, to know that this is temporary, that things will get better. You might not know when it's going to get better, but it will get better. You definitely don't want to be looking for elaborate meals. You don't want to be looking for absolutely optimal food to support your health and recovery, especially if you don't have someone there cooking for you. You want to prioritize protein, you want to get your fat in so that you don't kind of lose that energy, and you want easy to digest food that is going to support your immune system and your recovery, keep your energy up without feeling overwhelmed. Look, even small things is going to make a big difference. If you're in recovery or you're feeling worn out, then trying these kind of simple, low effort meals and snacks are going to really nourish your body. And of course, if you're still struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help in finding what works for you, just like my friend did when she messaged me. If you are dealing with a chronic illness and struggling to find the energy to care for your family, I know how overwhelming it can feel. When you're exhausted and you're unwell, it can seem completely impossible to nourish yourself in a way that supports your healing and your busy life. But remember, you don't have to necessarily do this alone. My Recover package is specifically designed to help mums find the energy they need to feel like themselves again. We work over 6 months together, and we work together to uncover root causes of your low energy, help to manage your symptoms, and address any nutritional deficiencies that might be holding you back. The full package includes a comprehensive blood test, or if we need to do another functional test like a stool test or a hormone panel or an organic acid test, to get to the bottom of what's going on inside your body. So the Recover package is currently £950, but the price is going to increase to £1250 in September. So if you are ready to prioritize your health and you're really looking to get that energy back that you need to thrive, then this is the perfect time to book your spot before the price increases. If you're interested, if you want to know more about this, you can book in for your free health and wellbeing review with me. And in that call, we can talk about how the Recover package can support you with a personalized plan tailored to your specific needs and your health goals as well. So you can find the link to that in the show notes. I really hope this episode has been supportive and helpful for you. And I really hope if you are struggling with long-term low energy or long-term chronic illness, I do hope things get better for you soon. Otherwise, I'll see you again for another episode of Raising Healthy Mothers next week. Bye for now.